I feel a rant coming on.
And are you filled with anger?
Insane-bo. Lame-bo.
Rainbows.
Hello. Welcome to this week's episode of Behind the Streams,
Welcome to the internet.
where I pop the top on this old noggin and get a finger in there and wiggle it about into the old grey matter and have a little poke and see what I can tickle out of there in terms of what sort of inspiration went into this week's post.
Always noodling numbers.
That sounds gross. Sorry. The post was called The Secret to Creative Longevity. Taste the Rainbow. Which is an obvious riff on the Skittles tagline, Taste the Rainbow. I'm not even sure that's still their tagline, but for the purposes of this post, I don't really care because that was the narrative hook on which I hung my words this week, so to speak. Hot take! Some things don't need to exist. You don't need to have a collab of two, weird combinations together. Which brings us to...
Here we are.
Mustard Skittles.
No!
The foundational candy on which this week's stomachache was built.
I don't feel so good.
Not that what I write is a stomachache, it's very nutritious, hearty meal, fills you up.
Better get a bucket, I'm gonna throw up.
Should eat more of my words. Don't eat my words, that's not a good thing. So the bright sparks at French's Mustard decided that they should collab with Skittles Candy, which I can only assume is because they're from the same parent company, which I would guess is Mars.
I'll be right back. Let me look into it.
Okay, I was wrong. Skittles is owned by Mars. I knew that. French's is owned by McCormick and Company, which do all the spices and stuff. This is a genuine partnership collab. Ugh. And that's how you end up with mustard and Skittles in one. And I say to that, no. I wouldn't be surprised if the idea for this collab came from the ad agency because it's kind of stunt that would look good in a campaign.
As the boldest experiment in advertising history.
As a person who has come up with stunts before, good for you. Before I forget, I did do a little bit of digging. For National Mustard Day, the last couple of years, French's has partnered with what I would consider an odd combination. Like they did mustard ice cream, mustard donut.
No.
Is that one a stretch? Yeah, that's a stretch.
No.
Just weird combos. Tangent. Look at this. As a student of advertising, or as my friend Sweet Baby Ray used to say, advertising, I have a copy of this Skittles, I guess it's a brand book. What's it called? Well, this is actually one of the reasons I love it. It's called The Falcon Who Taught Me to Love. And it's just like a bunch of inspirational things that are supposed to make you understand what the brand is like, the feel of the brand, the vibe of the brand.
That's a vibe.
I can't remember where I got this from or who I got this from or even if it's an official thing, but I can tell you there are no secrets in the advertising industry.
No secrets between sailors.
Stuff gets around. Anyway, it's super fun and I love the flavour of it. Of course, if French's Mustard approached Skittles, they'd be like, yeah, this sounds kooky. Let's get in that. From a brand perspective, that partnership makes sense. But let me just preface this by saying I get weird food combinations. I mean, you're talking to someone who used to dip their French fries in ice cream. And I understand there's probably people out there that put mustard on their Skittles because every friend group's got to have a kooky friend.
Then the farmer hits him on the head and grinds him up, and that's how we get hamburgers.
And they're just that person. But are we so lazy now as a species that we cannot work out how to put things together ourselves? That a company out there has got to put these things together so that we understand that these flavours are complementary to certain people. Like in Australia, you can buy craft singles with the Vegemite already in the singles and it makes them a weird colour. It's disgusting.
If you cross Vegemite with a craft single, slice well.
Vegemite single.
And I say to you, No. Get yourself a nice, chunky, sharp cheddar, like good cheddar, fresh, super fresh, soft bread, Vegemite from the jar like a normal person, and put the cheese and Vegemite together yourself. You've got hands, these amazing tools. You don't need some company making a quick buck off you because they thought, well, people are doing this, let's put it together. Mustard Skittles, Vegemite and cheese singles, even PB&J in the same jar. Like, buy a jar of peanut butter, buy a jar of jam. Make it yourself.
I made this.
Why are companies always looking for an angle? Why are you even asking this, Janine? You know the answer is capitalism. I'm so mad. Why am I mad? Let it go. Because the point of this post was gimmicks.
We call it optigraph.
Well, that wasn't the point of the post. That was the diving board from which I dove into the pool of Skittles and insanity that is mixing weird brands together and working out, do you really need a gimmick to get yourself noticed today?
Think of the publicity.
How do you get attention on your work? And if nobody's looking at it, nobody's reading it, nobody's listening to it, how do you keep going? Should you keep going? Why keep going? It's a very relevant post to me today. I might even get a little personal. You ready for that?
Fetch the comfy chair.
It's hard not to look at myself for this one because I get really tripped up on analytics, numbers. I'm putting myself out there, and the nature of how it all works now is that you get instant feedback on if someone is consuming it or not. How accurate is it? Who knows? The point is, it comes back at you pretty quickly, and it can be very crushing. And it's also why a while back I started saying the two words that this post is about today to help me sort of snap out of the idea of like analytics driving my mood. Because I'd be like, okay, nobody read that or no one reacted to that. It's okay. Persistence and purpose. Persistence and purpose. That was kind of my take on something that I don't know who said it originally. I think it might have been Steve Martin, he said you've got to be undeniable, right? That's more about the actual ability, but you've also got to have the pew pew, the 2P finger gun. That sounded weird. Persistence and purpose. This is just all my opinion, by the way. It's just how I am keeping on going. So what do I mean by persistence? The blind belief and total ignorance of numbers. The numbers that are being shoved back at you, telling you should quit because nothing seems to work. All analytical evidence suggests that me, Janine McRae, should quit the stream. I should quit writing every week. I should quit making these videos. I should quit doing a podcast because all the numbers say none of this is working. What's your definition of working?
It's work. The most important thing is work.
Numbers. I've been writing the stream since April 2021. In that time, I have bagged exactly 230 subscribers in 2.5 years. That is dispiriting. Don't get me wrong, I love and appreciate every single one of those 230 people that subscribe to the stream. But there's something about analytics, numbers, that makes me see that number not as a victory, but as a stab to the guts. Instead of looking at that number and saying, oh, this is great, people are actually interested in receiving words from me, it's like it glazes over and I only see it as nobody. Nobody wants to read my stuff. It's a total mindfuck. Numbers. From the Monday post, the average open rate of those emails is typically between 45 to 50%, which is actually a pretty good open rate. Going back to my blinkered outlook on those numbers and me, instead of seeing that 200 and something people may be reading what I write, and me seeing it only as 0 people reading what I write. Why do I keep going? And people do read it. I know that people read it. Sometimes I get little notes from them. And think about it. I was writing before. It wasn't something I just started in April 2021. I've been writing my whole life. I got notebooks filled with shit. And what's the point of keeping it there? Numbers. Let's say, optimistically, 100 people read what I write. If I keep it in my notebooks and to myself, I have one person reading it, the person that wrote it. So technically that's 100% open rate, which is a great stat.
Numbers.
Point is this. Persistence is for me. Persistence is for my own sanity. I have to keep going. Or else what is the point of any of this? And when I say any of this, I'm talking about my life. Heavy. Persistence is to honour you, the people who actually do read or do watch or catch, every third one. It's a small campfire, and I welcome you to sit around it.
All of your work is done.
If more people come, I'll have to build a bigger fire, which will be fine. That'll be fun. We'll all be real warm. Another great thing about persistence is the weekly habit. I write. I have to think of something new every week. I have to actually make my brain work, which is healthy. But I actually become a better writer. That's what persistence gives you. Also, just between us, I refuse to believe that the reason a larger number of people aren't reading is that I am no good. I refuse to believe that I'm not a compelling presence.
I'm not delusional.
Or that I have a, soothing voice that can perhaps lull people to sleep if they listen to my podcast at night. I think that's a victory. Oh, it helps me go to sleep. Sure, I'll take that. I do occasionally get positive feedback from complete strangers to me who say things like, I find her voice soothing. I think the accent helps.
I know you don't talk like that.
And when I hear stuff like that, it fills my soul cup up. I glow like an isotope, except, an invisible glow because you can't see radiation. But I am radiating with the warmth of your love. True story. And I really enjoy doing the podcast, actually. I like this. I think secretly I might want to be a performer. Numbers. I can tell you a number for the podcast too. That number is 8. 8 people. When the episode goes up on that first day, 8. Always 8 people listen. I don't know who those 8 people are, but it's always 8. Over time you get more listeners, but first day, 8 people listen. Doesn't sound like a lot, so why persist in recording those? The answer is actually the same for all 3 things. I keep writing, making these videos, and recording the podcast. The first thing is, I can't stop. It's a sickness, really.
Sickness be gone!
I have always made things for an audience that doesn't exist. I just keep making it. It doesn't matter that there's no real outlet for it. I just have to, within myself, keep making stuff.
Nevertheless, she persisted.
I'm telling you, it's a sickness. There is no cure except the constant production of things that people may or may not consume. I create these personal projects to remain engaged with my brain. And you just happen to see all these things because I love writing. I've done it all my life. I also love learning new things, and I'm learning a lot of stuff making these videos and recording audio podcasts, and I haven't learnt about colour correction so much, but who's got time for that anyway? Point is, as long as I'm learning and I'm getting something out of it, it's easy to do. It's so easy. I need to not focus on analytics. I need to not care about the clicks and the likes. Numbers. I started writing long before social media existed, long before analytics, and I still made things and nobody responded to them, and I did not care. So why do I care now? Why do I care now? I'm working on not caring.
Numbers.
You're probably the only one watching this. It's you and me. We're on a date, basically. You look great. I'll get the bill. The numbers don't mean anything. You, to me, represent 1,000 people. That's how much you're worth to me. 1,000 people. In my mind, I see 1,000 people. I am pretending there are 1,000 people watching right now.
1,000.
When the podcast goes up, I make those 8 people 1,000 people. That's 2,000 ears listening to shit I say. It's pretty good. I persist because I know it's supposed to be challenging. That's how you sort the wheat from the Skittles. I want to give up every week. Don't give up. Every week I want to stop, but I keep going. I persist. And you know why? Because I also have the second P, purpose. That's purpose, not porpoise, though that would be funny. The purpose of this self-indulgent is to get better. The purpose is to share it with people, the fails, the process, the successes if they ever come. Because another purpose is that by doing that, perhaps other people will start to exercise their creative muscles and start making things and find things that fill their soul cups up. That's a pretty good purpose to have. The purpose is to squeeze all the juice from my creative oranges. That's a good one. To see if anything sweet comes out and not put mustard on it. See how I tied that all back to original there? I got skills. But the biggest, most holy purpose of all is to continue to create good and consistent work my whole life long. That's it. That's the purpose.
I found out what my special purpose is for.
And to do that, you have to be persistent, or else it ends right there. Persistence and purpose. And then I closed out the piece by saying if you want to be successful, you have to add a third thing, luck. I'm still waiting for that one. But until then, persistence and purpose. I'll see you next week. Sorry, this was a ramble. But it can take a while to like work yourself up to be like, this is how I keep going. Keep going. I'll see you out there.